The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Don't adjust your screen. There is nothing wrong. You're about to enter a world where the very concept of time is rendered obsolete by the sheer power of entertainment. You're about to enter the Boggis Hour. The host of the Boggis Hour, Greg Boggis.
On tonight's episode of the Boggis Hour, I issue a personal challenge to Donald Trump. You won't dare come on this show. And I interview my own personal friend, a comedian named Carolyn Plummer. Carolyn Plummer, welcome to this episode of the Boggis Hour.
It's great to be here.
So you made your trip in from?
Watertown, Massachusetts.
Beautiful Watertown.
Beautiful Watertown.
You were actually just down the street from the whole Sarnea Brothers shootout, weren't you?
Correct.
Wow. Way to start off a show, Boggis.
Yeah. I thought this was supposed to be funny. We were actually right in the staging area, so the National Guard was in front of my house, so I felt pretty safe.
Oh, that's, I guess if you're going to be in a safe spot in a place like that.
You want the armed guard in front of you.
Not behind you.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about where you're from. I know that you're a native of New Hampshire in the North Country or semi-North Country. I'd like to hear about your upbringing and then how it got you into doing stand-up.
Okay. I'm originally from Wolfboro, New Hampshire. People may have heard of that because it's a big resort town. And Mitt Romney has a house there, so now that the election's starting, you see a lot of political people going there. I don't pay enough attention to tell you who, but my dad is a minister, and I'm the youngest of 3 children, so that's really where I got my comedy start at Sunday school and high school, where I would get in trouble a lot and sent to the office, and the principal would laugh at me, tell me to sit there for 10 minutes and go back to class. That's pretty much it. Pretty uneventful.
That's pretty much it, huh?
Yeah.
It seems that there is an inordinate number of youngest kids who become stand-up comedians. And it's my theory is that, you know, like essentially your parents have kind of been through everything. Nothing shocks them. You're the youngest of the litter, so you need attention. So you become whatever, the family clown to get the attention.
I think that's part of it. My brother's the oldest, and he's probably the most intelligent out of all of us. And he actually has a really good sense of humor. And so does my father. My father likes puns, which I can't stand. So
you don't do any in your act?
No.
No puns?
No, no puns. But he taught me that type of humor at a young age. And
Which is cool because it's wordsmithing. It's learning how to use words in a creative way, which is essentially what comedy is.
Exactly. So it's not funny, but it's...
Puns are horribly unfunny. No, I enjoy a good pun just for the almost the cringe factor.
Yeah, he had when he mowed the lawn, he had a T-shirt that said "The Lawn Ranger."
Oh, okay. Yes. So he was a jokester.
Funny. Yep.
He was a jokester. So youngest of 4.
3.
3. Okay.
Unless there's something my parents haven't told me.
You got a brother and a sister?
Yep.
Okay. Youngest of 4. I'm adding people to the family.
There could be. I don't know.
that we know. So when did you decide to do stand-up comedy?
I always wanted to do stand-up. I was a big fan of stand-up, and I used to watch it on TV a lot.
You're talking, who were the people that you were watching in your formative years?
Roseanne Barr.
So her TV show and her stand-up.
Her stand-up. Rosie O'Donnell, Ellen DeGeneres, Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy. I used to quote Eddie Murphy from my cassette tape.
At least it wasn't an 8-track like
Bunny and all that
Carlin
stuff. Robin
and that
Williams.
Was Eddie Murphy in his
glory,
real peak too. I mean, his stand-up in that era.
Delirious before Raw. Raw is when
Right.
I lost a little respect for him.
Was that the red leather suit? Was that the one?
That was Delirious.
Oh, okay.
But Raw was the next one, another leather suit. But the profanity, and I'm not a choir girl at all,
Right.
was just too much. It took away from the jokes. And I learned a lesson from that.
Yeah,
early.
there's. It's funny because I'm like that too. I'm definitely not an unblanched blue comedy. A lot of people are like, you know. I think if something's funny, it can be funny, and even if it's dirty, it can be funny.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't have to be dirty to be funny, and sometimes you can go too far, you know. And when every other word is the F-bomb, it really does. It
It
starts
loses
to
its meaning.
it starts to detract. It doesn't have any punch to it, you know.
Yeah, but a well-placed F-bomb is beautiful in my eyes.
A well-placed F. Yeah, a well-placed F-bomb.
A well-placed F-bomb.
We'll see if we can get one out of her before the show is over. Okay, so you're growing up, you're watching stand-up comedy. Was it back then? Was that something you think, holy smokes, I could do that?
I didn't at first until I saw Kevin Meaney, and I saw what he was talking about. He was talking about his family and
And
the
when did
tight
you-
pants and the.
When did you see Kevin Meaney?
I saw him on
Did
the.
you see him live or on TV?
No, it was Evening at the Improv.
Oh, okay.
I think it was one of those shows, one of those stand-up
Big
shows.
pants people.
Big pants people, and I was like, oh. And then a light went on for that. But I didn't actually do stand-up till after college. But I did a lot of theater when I was a kid. I was in summer theater.
So you were used to being in front of a crowd, at least.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that kind of stuff, theater, even just public speaking, is really inured to getting up in front of people because that's
And I did that at a really young age.
the big fear of so many people. I'm like, well, whatever. People staring at you indifferently, who cares?
I was in band.
Oh, you're in band too? Oh, cool. So you were definitely used to
I
not
played
only
the trumpet.
not
I was in
people
jazz
staring at you
band.
indifferently, but people staring at you with contempt.
Yeah, because I played the trumpet and it was loud.
Not the sousaphone?
I played tuba one year. Well,
Nice.
baritone, which is a small tuba. And I didn't like that, so I went back to the trumpet.
I don't know if you saw, but there's a YouTube clip of there was some white supremacist group that was marching down in I don't know, was it South Carolina, waving the Confederate flags and the Nazi flags and all that stuff. And there was some heckler who had a tuba, and so he was just playing like Darth Vader's theme, and then he was playing like boom, 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 just enough music.
Everything on the
just enough
tuba,
soundtrack
yeah.
to ridicule it.
Everything on the tuba sounds like you're at Oktoberfest. There's no way to get around it either.
God, that's funny.
Just crave sausages and sauerkraut.
So you do band, you do theater, and then you see Kevin Meaney, and he gets you to understand
Thinking in my head that
sure, that you can talk about things that are familiar to you.
yeah, you
and
don't have
can-
to be Dennis Miller. You don't have to
Right.
be political. You don't have to be, something you're not. You can just talk about everyday stuff and it's relatable. And that's kind of when I got in my head. I said, oh, maybe I could do this. But then again, never had the opportunity.
So where did you go to college?
Plymouth State.
Plymouth State. It was quite a notoriously party college.
It was. It is. And I was.
As she grabs for the drink. Now, what did you get your degree in?
English
English. Okay.
with a writing option
Which explains why you went into stand-up comedy.
and a history minor. Yes.
And a history minor. Excellent. So you get your degree, you get out of college, you start working somewhere?
I start waiting tables in Wolfboro
Oh, okay.
at the height of the summer season
Oh,
to
nice.
make money.
So you made some good tip money,
Yep.
but you also have to deal with a bunch of stuffy tourists, too.
Yeah, actually, Motorcycle Week was the week I liked the most because you made more money from the motorcycle people than you did from anybody else.
Nice. And you didn't have to flash anything?
Nope.
We'll flash for tips. So, so anyhow, you get into stand-up comedy by doing.
I took a class.
You took a class. I didn't
I
know
was waiting tables to pay the bills, and I saw an ad for a class, and I said, oh, well, maybe I could do this. It talked about writing, setting up jokes, and at the end, you got to do comedy.
that. Now, who taught the class?
Dave McLaughlin,
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
stand-up comic.
Sure, Dave McLaughlin is a stand-up comic and an actor. I'm not sure if he really does.
I don't think he does stand-up
but he
anymore,
does
but
acting.
he did a lot of acting. He went out to L.A., did
Yeah, I
a lot
remember
of
seeing him in
commercials.
like a Toyota commercial. I remember some in a couple of big commercials. He must have made some good.
There was a grilling commercial of him on the grill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very much your classic everyman kind of
Yep.
looking guy, and a funny guy too.
Yeah.
You know,
So he gave me the confidence to write the jokes, structure the jokes the right way, and then actually tell the jokes on stage. And I got really drunk, and I got all my friends to come, and I told my jokes, and to this day, I don't know what I said.
And where was that?
That was in Manchester, New Hampshire, at a restaurant called Angelo's, which is now burned to the ground and is a parking lot.
Really? Where was that?
It was right on the street, Bridge Street, when you get off the exit.
Oh, okay.
Hanover Street.
Oh, okay.
So it was right on Hanover Street.
the far end by everything.
Towards the highway.
Right. Oh, yeah, I remember that now. That place burned down. Okay.
That place burned down. The first place I did comedy.
Oops.
I took it as a sign.
That's a sign.
And I met George Ham, who's a comic from Maine.
The great state of Maine.
Yep. And he gave me a ton of stage time up in Portland.
So he started out doing that like Sunday nights in Portland, Maine, which was just it was just a great room. And
Great.
George Ham was just one of the funniest guys that God's ever put on the planet. I mean, he's just
And super encouraging.
and super encouraging. Yeah. So I've told it before. Me and my buddies Harry Corsell and Pat Napoli would go up one Sunday a month, and just the room was awesome. You get up in front of the crowds and kill, and then and B, you get to watch George Ham, and George Ham was just this guy that, whatever, 20 people in a crowd, he puts the same effort, the same big effort that he put in, with 200 people.
Yep.
So he was always fun to watch. So
he was a huge help when I first started. I did a lot of open mic nights in New Hampshire. We didn't have bringer shows back then, so you could
which is kind of nice.
Which was
back
nice,
then.
yeah. You could sign up months in advance. You could go to the Comedy Connection in Faneuil Hall and get stage time with an
Yeah.
actual audience, which was nice because, they'd be German tourists on a tour, but you could actually gauge material with a real audience, which was nice. So I kind of got spoiled in that respect when I first started.
Yeah, that was how the Portland Comic Connection was. You just get up there, and there'd almost always be a crowd, and there'd almost always be a good crowd. And then suddenly you go to, Jimmy's Chuckle Shack somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and it sucked. And you're like, oh, God, it's not supposed to be like this. And then somebody says, it is supposed to be like this. You've been getting a false positive working at that great room.
Yep. And so I just kept doing it, and I kept getting better. And then it took me a really long time to be comfortable on stage again. Even though I grew up on the stage, I became way more self-conscious.
Yeah, I think it's a little different. I mean, it is a different thing than theater and all that because or music, because you do have, it's like a team as opposed to whatever.
Well, and it's your words, not someone else's words. So you're not interpreting someone else's work. It's your work. You're opening yourself up for ridicule, judgment.
They hate me. Yeah.
But it's definitely closer to yourself. Like, and you take it personally when you get heckled or you get, someone says, you suck. I mean, not so much anymore, but when you first start, you're like, you're right, I do.
I remember it was some comedian, a friend was doing a trade show, and some guy just goes walking in front of the stage. And he just laid into it. But I'm thinking, what kind of a jerk would do that? Jim, just sit down, keep your hands in your pockets, knock it off with the stroke there, pal.
Yeah. When you get more seasoned, it doesn't bother you as much. But when you're new and you're timid about your jokes, and you're like, I don't know if this is funny. In my head, it was funny. And as you get on stage more and you do more stage time, you don't care as much if they laugh.
And you also, like, back when you first started, it's almost like, every show is like, you have to do good or else you're going to get thrown out of the business. And you don't realize that there's this, everybody realizes that there's this, 2-year period of built-in suck that you have that, you think you get 2-3 people chuckle when you first start doing comedy, like, I killed. And then you go back and watch a tape, 8 years later, you're like, oh, God, what a nightmare. Those are jokes? Oh, that's horrible. So it's weird how you develop and you're like, oh, God, what I thought was funny back then is not what I think is funny now.
No. You grow as a comedian. You find your voice. That's what I call it.
So you did a competition.
I did. I've done several. But
what was the first one you did?
The first one I did was at Patrick's Pub. It was called the Lakes Region Laugh Off. And I ended up winning tying the Lakes Region Laugh-Off.
With Brian Toomey.
Brian Toomey.
Who is no longer with us as a comedian.
We don't know if he's even with us.
We don't even know if he's with us anymore. He could be gone. Yeah, so Patrick's Pub was I think that was like my, I don't know, third or fourth paid gig. Was me, John David Robstein, and Justin McKinney.
Yeah. And I got all my friends to come out, because at the beginning you want support. But my old theater teacher came out with his wife, my English teacher and his wife, my 8th grade English teacher and his wife. Like, I had a lot of people there.
Wow, to me, that would have been like a whole shitload of pressure that I don't know if I
and then
could
my
deal
friends
with.
and all the people that were my teachers said, we can see you doing this as a career. So that was nice at the beginning to get that type of support.
That's pretty good affirmation.
Yeah.
So you do the competition, you do well.
Yep. I get another list of open mics to start going to. Then I start getting paid work.
Hey.
Then I start building my time. And then I start driving all over the place to get stage time.
Yeah. So what are some of your fondest memories of when you first started out? Like you know, as you go on, like there's things that no longer occur that used to occur when you first started out.
When I first started out, I would get really excited to meet people that I'd seen on TV. Like Steve Sweeney. I used to watch him at Evening at the Improv.
Sure.
And I met him and he wasn't nice. We're friends now, but he was like not nice to me when I first met him. I was like, wow, comedy sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because, you know.
And he doesn't remember.
Well, but you also think that, like, you know, like a comedian is, you know, this, you have this vision of them, you know, like being happy-go-lucky backslap. And a lot of them are like kind of quiet, introverted people off stage, so they don't even like,
and you don't,
shoot, you're not doing your goofy, wacky guy shtick. You're just kind of sitting over there in the corner, not trying to amuse me, you know?
Right, and now that I've been in comedy for almost 17 years, I know now that he was probably getting ready to get his jokes, you know, and he didn't know who I was. He was like,
hey, mister.
You're my hero.
Yeah.
But then I also met Kevin Meaney, who was one of the reasons I got into comedy. We worked together at the Newport Grand in Newport, Rhode Island. And I met him, and he couldn't have been nicer. And I had a message from a comedy friend of his, Ken Rogerson, that was a coded message, and he just cracked up laughing. I had no idea what it meant. I don't even remember what it was now. And so he liked me immediately, and we still talk on Facebook and stuff. We're not like besties or anything, but we had a good time. And that was nice to meet someone that lived up to your expectation.
Right.
He's a nice guy.
He was a funny dude. I mean, he still is a funny guy.
So
I just saw him playing somewhere. I'm like, oh God, I'd love to see him again.
He's just so crazy.
I remember seeing him at the Amherst Country Club back in the '80s, and it was just. There was a whole bunch of those guys that just had so much energy. Sweeney was one. Kevin Meaney was. I think they would actually sometimes do improv together at the end of the show. Yeah. And so it was fun. It was just fun watching people with that ridiculous.
Well, Kevin Knox. Kevin Knox was also someone who was very influential to me. He gave me a ton of stage time at his open mic at the Comedy Connection.
Was it a Wednesday?
I think he did Monday.
Monday? Yeah.
And then Paul Nardizzi and Robbie Prince would share Wednesdays. Right. I think. I mean,
Kevin Knox, man.
There was nobody like Kevin Knox. Yeah. He was a genuine, nice, so much energy. Right. And I was very low energy when I started, so we were opposites, and I had to learn how to follow him. And
people don't realize that you can do that, but you just have to allow the audience to shift gears.
Right.
If you try to go and meet that kind of manicness with, you know, phony manicness, it's like, they can see you just trying to, you know, pass one off.
Right. So that was a big lesson to learn, and he helped me through that.
Kevin Knox, that's great.
Yeah.
Everybody had great Kevin Knox stories because he would always do that. You know, hey, you know something? You're complaining, but guess what? You're not digging a ditch. Oh God, you realize that? You had a crappy
comedy.
set in a nice air-conditioned room. You know, you had a sandwich and a drink and whatever. So the 20 people in the crowd didn't care for you. You're not digging a ditch. You're not breaking your ass for this job.
It's just fun, and then you start to meet people. And I met Don Gavin, and he gave me some tags for some of my jokes.
Very lucky. That's nice to have.
I said, "Why are you helping me?" He said, "Because I like you." And I said, "Oh." So he was another one that,
One of the great joke writers out of Boston, Don Gavin.
one of the best.
Bang, 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 bang. It's
And
like,
every tag he's ever given me, he's better than my punchline. Every single one.
Oh, that's perfect. So I'm going to get to the point now where I'd like to ask you the three questions.
Okay.
So what do you consider your best show?
I would say,
Or if you want to actually give me a couple of best shows.
okay, I'll do that because probably,
I don't want to hem you in.
yeah, the best gig I ever got was going to the Marshall Islands to entertain the troops and being able to go with Lenny Clark, Kelly McFarland, who's one of my best friends in comedy, and Steve Scarfo.
Okay.
So not only did you get to go with your friends, but it was so much fun, even though it was 19 hours away.
So yeah, so it was a whole, excursion,
a week-long
right?
trip that you got paid, and they paid for your travel. We get to go to Hawaii for a
Awesome.
night.
And that was it Scarfo was in the Army, I think, and he
Scarfo was in the Army, and he
knew
has a
somebody
friend
and-
who's stationed there, and he's in charge of
entertained.
one of the committees.
Nice.
And so he brought in a couple different groups, and
Wow.
it was awesome.
That's a great show.
Yeah, and we got to spend time together. It was hilarious.
That
We had a
must- that
golf
must have
cart.
been
We were driving
awfully
around
fun
on the
traveling
island.
with Kelly and Lenny and Steve.
Yeah.
So Marshall Islands trip. Any other best?
I did just this Christmas time. I did the music hall in Portsmouth with Justin McKinney for 2 sold-out shows.
Oh, nice.
And
Which is
it
I don't know, like 1,000
was
people or something.
awesome. Both shows were awesome. Everything just fell into place.
Well, when
And-
you work in a theater like that too, somehow, even though it seems like a lot of pressure, in some ways you're very, very comfortable because it's designed to make
the focus is on you.
the
Without
people
the
are there for the
distraction.
show,
Yeah.
and it's just the sound dynamics are good, the lighting's good, the stage is good,
Yep.
and you just
And you can take time to tell your joke. You don't have to try to speak over somebody ordering a drink or somebody
there's-
dropping a drink.
there's something about a theater crowd that lends to not having to beat them over the head. You can
Right.
be very subtle, and they dig it, and it's a great feeling.
And that was awesome. And the best opportunity I've ever had in comedy is I got a call back to Last Comic Standing. Got a free trip to New York. I got to audition for the executives of NBC and Paige Hurwitz and Wanda Sykes, who are the producers of Last Comic Standing. And I made Wanda Sykes laugh in all the right
that's
places.
great.
And although I didn't get picked, you should pick me next year. It was a great experience to see how that whole process works and how you audition sometimes with no audience, and you still
Yeah,
have to bring it. And
That's tough,
Yeah.
and that is one of the things that it's very unnerving because
but
as a
they
comic
laugh.
you want a crowd and you want laughter and
You want the energy from the crowd, but they were very nice, and they made you feel like you actually had an audience, a very, very small audience, but an audience. And that was probably the biggest accomplishment probably I've done in comedy.
awesome. Worst show?
The worst show I ever did was I was the entertainment for a Zumbathon
Ooh.
in the middle of Maine at a line dancing facility. And they kept putting me off because they were running late.
Oh gosh.
And so they announced me, and then they announced that the food arrived, and the food got more of an audience than I did.
Wow, talk about
And I had to do,
sandbagging you,
and there
huh?
was no opener, and I was on my own, and I had to do 45 minutes to maybe 6 people, 3 of which were children.
Oh wow.
And I did it because I needed the money.
I needed the money. Yeah, unfortunately, comedians in prostitution, that's the same kind of line. I needed the money.
I needed the money.
Oh, that's tough, huh? And was that around the time that Maine had the famous Zumba?
No, this was before that.
okay.
Yeah.
The Zumba Madam. And then we'll finally touch upon your most unusual show.
Well,
And-
you're familiar with this one
And
because you were on this
shared
gig.
a shared experience.
We did a show at a nudist facility. They don't like colony. What do they
Yeah,
call
colony, I guess, it makes it sound like a leper colony or
Right.
something like that, or,
Well, and-
sequestered.
it? They were nudist enthusiasts.
Okay, yes, there were nudists.
Nudists.
Yeah, and so I think I showed up before you, and it was in a big pavilion.
outside near the
outside
lake
and
with a little enclosure.
with a little closure.
And the saving grace was it was cold that evening.
It was cold, so most of the people who could be nude were actually clothed.
Except
And
for-
apparently the thing with the nudist culture is that, in essence, it's generally everybody that you don't want to see nude is nude.
Right. So there were 3 holdouts.
And there was, and one of the first thing that you saw as you walked in was about a 500-pound guy with a shirt and no pants and no underwear, and I thought he was warming chicken McNuggets. He was not.
Then you had the guy in a lawn chair with a hoodie,
lolling casually.
no pants.
Back and forth. Yeah,
Yep.
it was very, very.
And then somebody's grandma,
And somebody's great grandma.
great grandma, who asked if she could shut the window because she was cold.
And
also
she had
no
like
pants.
a Georgia girl cap and a jacket and a sweater and a shirt
And no
socks
pants.
and shoes. No pants.
No pants.
No underwear.
Can I shut the window? I'm cold.
And I believe her answer was, well, then put on some bleeping pants.
Not out loud.
Not out loud.
But
no,
I
you
did
said
shut
it
the
goes
window
after.
for her, so there was no lifting.
So that's it.
And what was surprising about that show is some of the stuff that normally gets a laugh, they just saw as normal, everyday stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Nothing was taboo. Nothing was sort of innuendo because everything's up front and out in the open for
Right.
them. And that's what I learned from that gig. One, I won't do it again. And second, I'll pick different material.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely the
thinking
usual
was
groove
different.
of a show was not there.
No.
It was definitely faltered, and I know for me it was a traumatic experience.
I also found out that Florida has more than one time zone from a gentleman.
Ah, that's right. So we always learn a new thing. So Carolyn Plummer, thanks for coming on the Boggis Hour. The time is, as we say at the Boggis Hour, holy smokes, it's time. So it's great to have you on the show. Hope to have you on again. And
Thanks for having me.
any last words you feel like saying, or you want to just?
No, please come out and support live comedy because it's totally different than what you see on television. It's definitely better live, and it sucks when we don't have an audience. So the more people, the better.
Amen. So you heard her. Come to a comedy show. My guest, Carolyn Plummer. Thanks.
Are we done?
If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on The Boggis Hour, email us here at thebogishour@gmail.com.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed